Absolutely. Absolutely. We see
So
that, we see that in our immediate relationships, but imagine going to work and now you've got 5, 10, 25 different people, and they may have different personality perspectives, but every individual is as unique as your fingerprint. And so you've got to speak multiple language. It's a multicultural workplace in regard to how people view and see the world. We all come at it from a very different point of view or perspective.
So I'm going to do my Marvin Martian here. I'm planting the flag on the moon here. I think we found our first blind spot, right? And that is treating people the way you want to be treated or the way you think. So how do we peer into that? How do we find? And I get well. Let's actually start with why does that really matter? I mean, if I've got 25 employees, I got 5 employees. Why does that matter?
Well, if you want one, if you want the results that you're looking for, everyone has to be, and I hate to use this cliche, but everyone has to be on the same page. And so when you share your vision, you need to share it in a language that they're actually going to understand. Not everyone's going to understand the vision as you have because they haven't been where you are in the thinking process. So you've got to kind of start with that end and build a bridge to them and then bring them over to your side as opposed to just simply, using that exclamation point. And so you've got people. People will tell their own story. I think we're natural storytellers, and we all have our own personal narratives. And so if they don't understand what it is that you intend, so if they don't understand your story, they're going to make their own story up, and they're going to have their own emotions and reasons for why you're doing what you're doing, and there's going to be judgment involved.
So this is we're kind of there's a couple of things coming to mind, and I was actually just checking while we were talking there. We've got a couple of people online, so thank you, people for folks for joining us online and listening in. Tell us where you're from, and I would love to hear a little more about your interest level. What brought you to the podcast? Because I would love to dig into those questions. So tell us what brought you forward. What interested you in the topic? Because the way I think of it, we're all in the people business, and if you don't think you're in the people business, I think you misunderstood. um, so please jump in. This is, you're not interrupting us. I think this is part of the way we want this discussion to work. So, uh, Tom, I mean, I've managed people before. I've had, and it takes time to inspect yourself to find out when you're putting it back into your own language. And we were touching on that idea of ego a little bit. That ego can be a tool. It can also be a detriment as well. You've worked around people, um, tools or assessments. How have you kind of kept that in check in terms of speaking your own language and kind of watching when you're speaking your own language? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does. Because one of the things that I teach is that you need to first be aware before you can become before you can beware. And so I think a
Mm.
lot of it is really key first to understanding other people is understanding yourself. And many of us are not very practiced, not very well practiced at self reflection and our own sense of self awareness of not only what it is that we do, but the why behind it and the who we are internally. We have a sort of a hardwiring process that takes place with our neurology and with our personality or whatever you want to call it along those lines, and a lot of different perspectives on that. But then there's that individual, cultural, familial shaping and influence of the process all along the way, and that influences us. My brother and I grew up in the same household, same parents, we went to the same schools, we shared the same teachers over the years, but he and I are worlds apart, and part of that's just the nature of who he is and also the way he views and experiences the world. So I think it's us stepping back and really looking at that internal mirror
Mhm.
and becoming very self-aware, self-reflective, thinking about what is it we do, why is it we do that, and then when we begin to interact with other people, we need to understand that they do things for their reasons, not ours. And we often feel like, for example, that people do things to us but they're not doing anything to us. They're doing things for themselves. We just kind of got in the way. And it's like that person that cuts you off on the highway. They weren't driving around the city all day long just waiting for your car to appear so they could do this. But our reaction oftentimes is, how dare they? And we kind of react internally, but what we're reacting to is not them. We're reacting to something going on in us. So it's becoming in alignment and aware and reflecting on that. I think that's going to help us a lot. Then we might be able to get it, dodge the bullet, so to speak, when other people don't do things the way we think they ought to, or they say something differently to us, or um, they say something that initially might feel like offensive or defensive. We need to sort of dodge that bullet emotionally and reflect on it. Maybe then follow up with a question, clarify, find out their reason why.
So two things, and actually the second thing is I want to kind of bring us back to kind of hiring practices and processes and talking to him. Something that is coming up for me that in sort of my own journey or path, and gosh, it's been a bumpy journey. Um, is this idea that when you are talking to someone and I always have gotten this habit of I've even done it here already. So let me understand what you're saying, right? And trying to get someone to trying to repeat back to them what I just heard. And if there's a disconnect there, they say, no, you didn't get it right. Uh, Really trying to seek to understand as opposed to trying to convince, right? The understanding is trying to say, hey, let me step into your shoes for a minute to see it from your perspective. I think that's a little bit of what you're saying there. Is that right?
Absolutely right. People are more likely to seek to understand you if they first been understood. I think more than love, more than affection, more than affirmation, our number one goal and need in life is to feel understood. Most people, and I say most because I know not everyone feels this way. Most people would say my parents love me. I poll my students every semester with this, and most of them acknowledge that yes, my parents love me. Well, how many of you feel understood by your parents? The hands start going down. And so it's not about love as much as, okay, I know you love me, but you're not understanding me. You're not, they don't feel like they are understood they don't get me, and they're not listening to me. They're not hearing me. They're judging, or what other, perspective they might have of their parents regarding that. But I think that's the way all of us, running around bumping into each other day after day. We just want to be understood.
Yeah.
And so you've got the whole world competing for that. So leaders need to step back and forget about trying to be understood and seek to understand. And that's going to build that bridge of engagement, I believe.
So we've got a couple people on that I just wanted to kind of shout out and say hi to Joshua. Hey, how you doing? It's been a while since I've actually seen you. Hey, good to see you. Uh, Joshua, I'd love to hear kind of what's going through your head as you're hearing some of this stuff. Relevant, irrelevant. You agree? And we got Janet and Nasmol who are both listening in as well. Hey, great to see you all. Again, the same. Love to see what you all are thinking and what's going through your mind, what's appearing. Love to see if it resonates with you. Um, but let's kind of take a little bit of a turn here, Tom, and I want to kind of get back to employees. I mean, that's really what we're all here about, right? And on this topic is so we're talking about how to really understand and kind of to some degree kind of get. I don't. I think it's a little bit of a misnomer to say get into their head. It's kind of get into their perspective because that's their head and their heart and all that kind of stuff kind of all mushed into one, right? If we're seeking to understand, we're kind of getting into their shoes.
Yeah.
Is that the key? Is that part of the process? Is that part of the key to retaining employees, hiring better employees? Is that the gateway there? Is that the purpose of that?
I think it is. I think the first, as we've been talking about, I define leadership by a sort of unique perspective, but as a good leader, an effective leader is someone who's comfortable in their own skin. One, they understand themselves and they understand what it means to be in alignment, but they're also comfortable getting under the skin of other people. And I don't mean getting under the skin in an irritating way, but to really kind of walk that mile in their shoes, to kind of see it from inside out from that perspective.